Hey guys, welcome back to the Shit Sandwich. I hope you guys enjoyed the last episode, and I hope you guys are going to enjoy this one. So today we are going to talk about a bunch of random stuff.
Yeah.
As with me, as always, is my amazing wife and co-host, Allie.
Hello.
Now, Allie is a huge mental health awareness type, and so
I'm a mental health awareness type.
right, you are very, very strongly advocate for mental health awareness for adults and children alike. So I did want to bring something to the attention today that I read this week. There is a company called Edicons, and what they do is they make pieces of a cover, what it seems like, for custom Nintendo Joy-Cons that look like this. And what happened this week was that Nintendo reached out to them and said, cease and desist all sales, all activity with this stuff going on. Now, in the past, Nintendo has been known to be very happy, I guess I would say, because they did manage to put cease and desists out and court, stuff to ban all ROMs from coming out, which is one of the biggest setbacks to people who play Nintendo ROMs, just for the ability of being able to access those games, because games are not as accessible as they used to be. The online content market has been really where games are going, but they're not being archived. You can get on the Nintendo Switch and play old school Mario 1, 2, you can play Mario 3, you can go on and play Super Nintendo games, but they don't give you the full catalog of those games. And it's kind of disappointing to me that you're not able to access these great games of the past.
Wait, so I'm confused. What does this have to do with mental health?
Well, okay, what this has to do with mental health is that this company donates their proceeds to mental health awareness for adults and children.
Huh?
And by this cease and desist, Nintendo is kind of not directly but indirectly putting the needs of mental health awareness and that stuff kind of on the back burner, and it's really messed up. So I did want to bring that up today.
I don't think, to me, that doesn't surprise me that a major corporation is back on something that's important with the world. A lot of big corporations, there are plenty that do support, and do charities and things like that, but there are a lot that don't, because it's all about money to them and they don't care.
Right.
So that doesn't really shock me.
I mean, it doesn't really shock me either. It is kind of one of those things that, that they will do to get, yeah, exactly. They'll do it to make money on their own, to push aside third-party companies from, doing things that will help the consumer in the end. The end user will have a better experience with these things, or the customizability. You know what I mean? And that's one of the big things, is that we're seeing ways to customize your game system, customize your controllers, customize your experience, tailor your experience. And that brings me to my next little piece of news this week. So I had gone ahead about a month ago. I've been watching a lot of stuff on VR gaming and stuff like that, and I wanted to get into the entry level of the Oculus Quest 2, because they've been talking about how they've been doing these big upgrades and big updates that have made even the Quest 1 really good, but the Quest 2 is really where it's at right now for entry level VR gaming. So about a month ago, I ordered one, and it was supposed to come within a week. And I was like, awesome, I can't wait. This is going to be great. Whatever. This thing, it's just the headset and the two controllers, and it is just amazing. It is just amazing. And the reason I know this is because I ordered. Okay, so let me continue with this. I went ahead and ordered it. I waited for it. It didn't show up. A week later, after it was supposed to show up, I got an email saying that the product was either lost in the mail or it wasn't available. And I was like, okay, not a big deal. You know, I'm totally cool with that. And so what happened at that point was the game company, you know, or the company that was selling it basically said, listen, you know, this is lost or whatever. Here's a link where you can get a refund. And I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to go get a refund. Like, that is the most important thing right now, is that I just dropped $400 on this thing.
Oh my God, is that how much it costs on Amazon now?
Wait. So, okay, so I dropped $400 on this thing. I'm waiting for it to come in the mail. I'm like, okay, I'm watching my, patiently. Patiently.
Or actually impatiently.
Well, impatiently, yeah, exactly. Impatiently waiting for it to show up or whatever. I get this refund notice and I'm like, refund, no problem. By one day, I had my money back. So I said, you know what, I'm going to order another one. I go online, I go ahead and I find another one just like this, 256 gig. Okay, 256 gig or 64 gig is the space capacity at which you can get these things. And it's $299 for the 64 gig and $399 for the 256 gig. Now, in the longevity of things, I like to keep my tech around, as you can see, like from, you know, all the stuff around me. You can't see it right now, but like there is just tech everywhere, plastered to the walls and everything. We have I'm not going to say the Echo. I'll say the Echo because I'm not going to say her name because she is
annoying.
Otherwise, I refer to her as the bitch in the corner.
Annoying.
She is very annoying. She goes off for like no reason whatsoever. Everything it thinks it hears its voice. Regardless of that,
although
I do most of my shopping on Amazon,
you did
so that's
aid
why.
In that, though, when you made it the light control.
Right. I made it the light control. But anyways, so I'm like, I want this thing is going to be something that I'm going to have for, you know, at least a few years. Before the new shiny one comes out that I'm going to want, you know, then. This thing though, the longevity of it, I wanted to have the bigger storage on it, so I paid the extra $100 for it. And I ordered it, and then, like, within a week, I got an email on my phone that said my Oculus was here. And I'm like, hell yeah. Go downstairs, I go out to the door, there it is, I bring it in. I'm so excited to get to use it, but I'm like, I'm just going to bide my time, look into it a little more, look into the setup of it, go through the setup. I did. I actually went through a YouTube tutorial and like went through and I was setting it up. I got PCVR
like a kid
set up.
in a candy shop
on Christmas, bro. I was a kid on Christmas opening up my favoriteest toy.
Too bad we didn't have the picture that I took of you.
Oh, I know. And so I put the thing on and I set it all up. I got PCVR, so I have it wirelessly. I can game off my computer. I can watch stuff off my computer. I get into like the tutorial game. I play the tutorial game and it's awesome. Just awesome. And I'm like, okay, Allie's got to try this out. So I give it to her, I set it all up, tell her how to set it up, and I'm like, this is so fucking cool. And then I find out that I can cast it to my Chromecast, so I can watch on the TV as Allie's in VR. So I'm guiding her through the tutorial on how to do it and stuff, and it guides her. It's pretty, if you're tech savvy, it's pretty easy to get through the tutorial and figure out how to do it. If you're not tech savvy, it's a little bit harder.
I don't think it has anything to do with tech savvy. I think you have to just trust in what you're doing and realize that they're actually giving you very thorough directions.
Right.
So it has nothing to do with being tech savvy. It has everything to do with your coordination, because just being with the controllers and in the VR, like, it's a little bit altering, like mind altering, because you don't know what you're doing and you can't. And at first I couldn't actually see the controllers in my hands, and actually the buttons were glowing and it was showing you everything to do. So I wouldn't say, like I said, tech savvy. I would say just you need to remember that you're in like a virtual reality.
Yeah, that you're actually in the real world, because it's very disconnecting.
It is disorienting.
It's disorienting, but not like very disorienting.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
like when you're playing the tutorial, it was pretty easy.
Stationary.
Yeah. So anyways, so Allie tried it. She takes it off. She says immediately, I want one. And so I'm like, I'm getting it. Like, done. I'm getting you one. So I go on the Oculus website and I buy one. And of course, the price again, it's $399 for the 256
well, no, first
gig.
you checked Amazon.
Right, I checked. So, okay, yeah. At that point, I check Amazon. And I'm like, boss, like, I'm going to go in balls deep on this and get another one for Allie, right? So I go over to Amazon and what do I see? $649 for a 64 gig version. Fuck that. So I'm like, okay, I go over to the Oculus store and I'm looking and I'm like, okay, listen, they gave me a refund for the one. The other one didn't even show up. So I was like, it wasn't even shipped yet. So I'm like, okay, I got the first one. They'll take the money out of my account, eventually. So I'm just going to cancel my second one that I ordered. So the third one I ordered was Allie's, and that was on Oculus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Straight
so I'm
from
like,
them.
Boom, $399 done. From the company. Then that night, I experiment with it a little bit. I find out you can put Netflix on it, which is dope as fuck. No kidding. It is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Watching Netflix in a virtual environment on a ginormous TV. So cool. Also, you can do work on your computer. You can open up screens, multiple screens, make them as big as you want, as far as you want, wherever you want. You can position them. That's cool too. I played a little bit of Fortnite while I was like leaning back in the chair, looking up, and I was like, this is freaking cool, So I was having a good time with that. I get it in, at night. Allie's, like, can you turn off the light? I'm like, yeah, no problem. I turn off the light and I go to like watch Netflix on my headset, figuring it's not going to bother her. I have my headphones on, everything's cool, and then it doesn't work in the dark. So I did find out you have to use like a infrared light or whatever. So I turn on my phone's flashlight, and it gives me just enough light where it's not going to keep her awake all night, and I can, sit there and watch Netflix. So I get into Netflix and I'm watching Netflix and everything's good, and I shut it off. And I'm like, okay, I watched like one episode of like Supernatural on Netflix, and I'm like, okay, that's good enough, like I'm done. Cool, whatever. Next morning I go grab it and I'm like, I want to show Allie what the Netflix looks like because it's so cool. You're like basically sitting in a cabin on a couch. There's a huge picture window on the side, and it's like mountains, like really nice, like snowy mountains. Just amazing to see, and it like really feels like you're there, which is so cool. I turn it on, I get the Oculus logo, and the screen goes completely dark. Not even like just black screen, completely dark. Yep. I'm like, okay, maybe I did something wrong, or maybe the Netflix app made it stop working. So I go in and I look online a little bit. Like, nobody talks about this at all, this black screen of death thing. There's one article on it, and a lot of people are saying the black screen of death they're having is the screen still lights up, but mine completely shut off. So I figure out how to do a system reset, a factory reset on it. So I like do that, I plug in the power to it, make sure it's charged, the screen comes back on. I'm like, cool. So I turn it on, go to do the reset. I do the reset. I get into the menu. The second I start doing anything, the screen shuts off. Okay, let's go in and reset it again. I reset it again. I can still hear it running and working, but the screen is completely off. Not even like on, but black. It's just completely off. Then I turn it back on again to see if I can get it working again.
Disaster.
One eye lights up. That's it.
It was a disaster.
I was like, you know what? This is set for a return anyway. I'm going to write a letter, tell the guy that, like, listen, this is basically DOA. I didn't bang it around. I didn't drop it. Nothing like that. All I did was use it for a couple times. And then I, put it on charge. Once it was fully charged, it just wouldn't work. And it's so upsetting to have something so cool. And I even, like, Allie's mom tried it, and she thought it was awesome. And,
she's just told us today she wants
yeah,
one.
she's like thinking about,
because it's good for like it's not just for it's not just for hardcore gamers. Like
no, it's just really cool to have that experience.
No, but it's not even that. It's like if you want to do like exercise and get like activity, especially with winter coming up, like just in the tutorial you could punch a ball, and it was just the fact that she was moving her hands and moving around, like it was cool because you're in this whole world that is like really cool. So I mean, that's why she would want it. And that's the thing, like I'm not a gamer, so it didn't appeal to me as a gaming thing. It appealed to me.
And there's other stuff you could do with it too, like virtual tours, roller coaster rides, things like that.
But it appealed to me more for like having an immersive gaming experience. So if I wanted to find a game that I liked, I'm in it, not sitting back and playing from a console, like, or what, a computer,
on TV
whatever,
or anything like that.
So I think the concept is amazing, and I
see we had 3 people on, and now we have 2.
4.
Who's in the chat? Say what's up, guys.
Say so we know who's
Let
here.
us know you can hear us and everything's all good.
There was 4 people, but now there's 2. So
I'll just say hey y'all in the chat, even though it says hey why all.
I don't know why they said you can hear them.
I can hear them.
I mean, they can hear you.
Oh yeah, they can hear me. Of course. We're a little bit behind, but you know.
I mean, I didn't dye my hair red, so that's
right.
The thing.
Yeah, that was the thing. So we got the blonde going, and Allie likes it. So I think we're gonna keep it this way. And
yeah,
she's
I'm just gonna have it fit, like not fixed, but toned and cut a little bit because my hair needs to get cut. It's very dead at the end.
Yeah.
It's Kyle.
So hey, what's up, guys?
Kyle.
So speaking of Kyle, I don't know if you guys on the replay you guys will catch him, but On the Brain Entertainment, On the Brain ENT is our good buddy who does this really cool show. And he aside from that,
actually
he
has a couple that he does.
He's got his hands in a lot of pots right now.
Honest.
I would definitely highly recommend to check them out. I know they're on Anchor. And I know they're also On the Brain is on YouTube.
He's on it's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing a show with him in a couple weeks. So stay tuned for that.
Next week. No, 2 weeks?
No, not next week, but the week after.
Next week.
Yeah, no, the week of Christmas. We're going to be doing a show with him.
Oh, next week I think.
Next week we're doing something else. Anyways,
I don't know what the days are anymore.
Anyways, so in this whole, thing of gaming and stuff, I want to talk real quick about a really cool game. If you have the Xbox Game Pass or Xbox Game Pass Ultimate or whatever, there is this really awesome game called Control. This is the Ultimate Edition poster, but I think it is really, really just a really cool looking game. I'm going to show you real quick. I'm going to go over a trailer for the game, just to show you guys what it looks like, but it is really, really cool. I played it just a little bit recently. I downloaded it. My sister-in-law, Gina, she streams a lot of video games and stuff on her Twitch, on her YouTube. And
I think
she's
Twitch
got, what is the G Squad or something going on?
Her thing is GG Games.
GG Games.
I don't actually know her handle all the way.
Oh, anytime, Kai. Anytime.
Of course, Kyle.
Anytime with the shout outs.
Honestly, going back to mental health for a second, I highly recommend his A for Able podcast.
Yes.
It's absolutely amazing, and I can't wait to be back on that podcast because I love it, because it's a place where I can advocate for the mental health, and it's just perfect that Kyle talks about all of that stuff, and he's awesome.
Right. He has a very good sense of what's going on in the community of the disabled, and it's so hard to see, like, that Nintendo thing really just pisses me off.
I think too, like it's just there's still such a stigma about mental health, so that sucks.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. I could say a lot about it, but clearly not, since Keith is pressing buttons. So
my bad. Sorry. Anyways,
I'll just do this then.
Yeah, it's very important to get that out there, get people more aware of what's going on in the community, because the disabled community is very, very, I wouldn't say they're outspoken at all. people have to advocate for people who can't advocate for themselves.
It's not even just the disabled community. It's the mental health community. It's the minorities. It's the Black community. I mean, you can go on and on and on about every person, and a lot of people fall into different categories no matter who you are. And a lot, like, mental health and disabled communities kind of go hand in hand because they're really stigmatized, and really people work, for me personally, working in the field of with disability clients,
right,
they feel a lot of the times that people are afraid of them, and they're always met with this fear that they're something crazy is gonna happen. And I don't even know why, because I mean, I do know why, because people don't like change. They don't like difference. They don't like different people. And
I think it's the what you don't know, of the fear of the unknown.
I mean, and I've worked with all types of spectrums for disabled adults and children. I'm talking very, very low functioning, where they were nonverbal, in a wheelchair, feeding tubes, to very, very high functioning.
Right.
And even the high functioning people I've worked with struggled with being out in the community because they felt very judged and afraid to go out and enjoy. And that's the view of many, but not everyone. And I love when I can see somebody who has a disability, no matter what it is, because disabilities come in all types of forms. They're not just the typical ones you would think of.
Right.
And they have a voice, and they're strong, and they're doing their own thing, and they're happy, and they're working, and they're having families, and they're buying houses and living their lives. Like, that is amazing to me. And on that whole bandwagon of helping people, since I announced it on my Facebook page 6 years ago.
Oh yeah.
I wanted to start Paper and Ink Publishing. I really had this idea that I was going to be this big time indie publishing company, and I went about it the wrong way. I didn't really have clients. I couldn't really find people willing to want to hire me, but I wasn't putting forth the effort. And I think about a year, I rewrote my book that's on Amazon with it and put it as Paper and Ink Publishing. But fast forward now, I've been working on a project all of 2020, but I cannot tell you what that is yet because no, we can't speak about that.
Right.
But that will be launched with Paper and Ink that I trademarked. Well, it's not trademarked yet. It's still got to get assigned an examiner from the patent office and trademark.
Yeah.
But I'm actually going forward with Paper and Ink, and I'll be able to do written text editing, and I did video editing for Keith, so that because he loves to do anything.
Yeah, I do a lot of video editing and stuff like that. Sometimes shooting video and stuff like that. We're probably going to be doing a lot of book trailers, book trailers.
And I really kind of also wanted to trademark. I mean, I wanted to get the class of trademark. I wanted there to be social media and management under there as well. Unfortunately, to be completely honest, I couldn't afford the price for the trademark, like the filing fee for it, because you pay for the I keep saying patent, but it's not. You pay for the trademark, and then you have to pay the government the filing fee, and the filing fee is crazy expensive. So I couldn't afford to add the social media marketing to it, but I will. You can do another one, and once Paper and Ink is all good to go, I'm gonna add the social media, because if you know anybody that's an indie author, it's extremely difficult for marketing and spreading awareness about your book, because you don't have the luxury of having a PR person from a mainstream publisher, an agent, and all of that. So I'm really excited, and we'll see. I still have about 2 more months till I get an examiner, and then about 4 months it takes the government to approve or deny my trademark.
Right.
So
Kyle
we'll
said
see.
Congrats.
Thank you, Kyle. Thank you, Kyle. And
Very
he's
awesome.
been on this journey with me too for a long time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So he knows.
Yeah.
But all right, go do your control thing.
Okay.
So he
so
can
anyways,
stop pressing buttons.
so I have. All right. So anyways, yeah, I was talking about Control. I've got the trailer pulled up, so I did want to show you guys that. Let me just get over there real quick. Widescreen this sucker.
They can't see it.
I know they can't see it yet. And here we go. Oh nope, kidding. Dude likes to pull a fast one on me here. All right, here we go.
This is gonna be weirder than usual. Can't be helped. My brother was just a kid when they took him. They thought I'd never find this place. That I'd forget about him. They were wrong. They'll try to stop me, but I'm stronger than them. We're stronger. You and I.
So guys, that is the trailer for Control, and it's on PS4, it's on the Epic Game Store, it's on Xbox One, and it is really, really neat. It looks like the female character at some point gets like force-like powers, like mind control, like telekinesis and stuff. It's a little bit weird. I played like the first maybe a couple minutes of it just to kind of get an idea what it was. It's kind of a first-person shooter with some other like action scenes and stuff that happens. I haven't really gone through all of it. Hey, I'm glad you liked the trailer for that. It's actually free on Xbox if you have Game Pass Ultimate.
He has 2 songs dealing with disability. Okay. You're so good at that, Kyle. Like, you're so good at finding stuff like that. Kind of like how I, like, Keith always is like, oh, you always put, like, word porn quotes and stuff like that. And because sometimes I never know what to say, and they just fit it perfectly.
I get aggravated with you about that because it's like, you are very, very smart, very intelligent, and you have a very good way about expressing how you feel in words.
Okay, but the thing...
As a writer, you are very good expressing yourself in words. But when it comes to not knowing what to say, that's kind of like where I get like, where you do like the word porn stuff. And I'm like, okay, any jack off can just grab word porn and slap it on their Facebook.
In theory...
But like it's very not unoriginal, but
No, it's not unoriginal.
Genuine. It doesn't feel genuine to me.
On like... Obviously, I can write and I have that type of a thing, but when I have to express myself on certain topics that I still filter myself, that's when I go to word porn, because it's still very difficult for me to and I guess this can roll into our thing we want to talk about that we talked about a couple days ago is it's very difficult for me to call people out, because I've done that before and it's only had negative repercussions. So when I want to say something and I want to be as honest and truthful as possible about a specific incident, I can't find the words to say it because there's a part of me that wants to be like, yeah, like you're made me mad and you upset me and it's you. And I can't, I don't want to do that because I don't want to deal with the confrontation that comes from that, even though that's not good. And you should, confrontation to a point is acceptable. You should be able to have that type of interaction with somebody and be able to work through it if in a perfect world.
In a perfect world, yeah, like last night.
Well, we're not going there. We're going
funny.
there, I guess.
Yeah, we're having not we, but me. I'm having a lot of difficulty lately with social anxiety and trying to work through my aggravations and agitations, and it's like suddenly everything sets me off. And I don't know why.
And I need to. It's not just a normal set off; it's a 0 to 9,000 in seconds. There's no pause. There's no take a deep breath. There's no count to 10 response. There's nothing.
Right.
It's that 0 to 9,000.
The clarity happens after, and I think we talked about this, before, that knee-jerk reaction type thing. But I mean, I can be set off so easily anymore, and I don't know if it's because of all the quarantine stuff and all this going on, and finding out, a family member recently being positive for COVID. And then at the same time, now we're under quarantine. We've been quarantining for a couple weeks. We're about to take our tests. No, it's actually been 2 weeks tomorrow. So,
yeah, and that's when we're going to take our tests.
We're going to take our tests tomorrow, yeah. And then on top of it, the people that we've been around, right after Thanksgiving, I was talking to my boy and he was like, oh, Thanksgiving night, he's like, you should come over. I got people over. I was like, well, I'm not sure, what time I'm going to be home.
Good thing you didn't.
Good thing I didn't. Yeah, exactly. Because then I'd be calling him too and be like, hey, you and whoever else was at your house, you need to get tested for COVID because I might have COVID.
Well, the thing is you don't know. That's the scary part about it is the anxiety. There's a lot of anxiety behind it, and there's
a lot of stigma about it lately too,
not
which is really
even knowing
messed up.
You can't pinpoint a specific thing, so that's very difficult. But we're gonna be okay. Like, nobody has been showing symptoms in this house. So
the only thing we've been, having is just allergies really.
Just allergies.
And that's kind of standard, But so I'm glad, we're not having symptoms, that everybody's okay so far. We're gonna get our test results back in a couple days, and we'll update you guys and let you know how that went.
The thing we wanted to talk about that was something that, I'm sorry. What do you think about the vaccine news? I don't know what is the vaccine
news.
What is it? I don't know. The allergic reaction thing?
Yeah, there's been some people reporting allergic reactions in the test as far as I've seen. There are side effects to it. One of the side effects they talk about is a severe headache that is followed up with body aches and severe body aches. But the symptoms, as far as I've heard, can only last 24 hours.
Oh no, I think he's talking about the two people that had that really bad allergic reaction to the shot.
Yeah, that I didn't know about. I had heard there was allergic reactions happening to the shot in
I think
some
it's
cases,
the Pfizer,
but I don't know what the
Pfizer one I think is the one that had the allergic reaction. I'm not sure. I tend to avoid the news because
I tend to watch a little bit of news from everywhere. That way I get more of a well-rounded side of it instead of one or two sides of it.
I really try to avoid the news as much as possible because it gets me so fired up about still going on about the election. Like, here's the thing. It fires me up.
The thing about this vaccine that pisses me off, now, I watched maybe a month ago, okay? When they were talking about the vaccine so much about it was coming to a head. They were doing trials. Having a vaccine is great. Are people going to trust it? No. Of course, nobody wants to be the guinea pig, right? But here's the thing. I watched Cuomo, the guy who said, "Oh, is vaping 90-something% safer than smoking?"
That's all you go off of.
But so what? Like no, stop. Let me finish this thought before I forget it. So he's saying, this guy has said the dumbest things possible. Will 60-something% of New Yorkers don't trust the vaccine right off the bat? We're going to do our own independent study of the vaccine before we get it out to people.
Why is that dumb?
He's not doing it now. Now they're like, oh, here you go. Here's vaccines. Everybody, vaccines for everybody. Vaccines for, or vaccines for whoever. And I get that the frontline workers need a vaccine, but do your due diligence and test it. Okay? And then Allie told me that they were testing it on pregnant women. Like, that's... Whoa. Okay? Well, now, first off, the implications of that, here's the problem. Here's the problem I have with that. You're testing pregnant women. Okay? And while that's probably a good idea for a pregnant woman to be vaccinated against COVID, what is that going to do to her kid? We may not find out for 10, 20 years, 2 generations.
Right.
Look at how long smoking was around.
But the thing
before
is,
people
that's with
actually
anything.
realized that anything. Exactly.
That's with anything. But the thing is,
long-term effects, and if they're going to test it on pregnant women and they're going to give it to pregnant women, they're going to be the guinea pigs.
Yes, and they're choosing to be that.
But
they are choosing to make those decisions. The thing of it is you're a science person. Of all the people, you should understand.
But here's the thing. Science is flawed, and we've seen it before. We've seen it with I forget what it's called, the LSD experiments that they did, the Tuskegee, experiments, like all these things that they've experimented on, and people have been so effed up because of it.
How I feel about this is I will never judge a person's right to have a choice.
No.
And if these women are choosing as pregnant women to volunteer and be a part of this COVID vaccine testing, that is their right to do. And just because I won't do it doesn't mean it doesn't make it right for them to do it. And I'm a very hardcore pro-choice person with everything. I think if you're an adult, you should be able to vape. I think if you're an adult, you can make a decision if you want to smoke cigarettes. If you're an adult, you can make a decision if you want to drink alcohol. I think when there becomes problems and you either become an alcoholic or that, this is going to sound bitchy, and I realize it as I'm saying it, but that's on you. That's on you as an adult. So,
so freedom of choice, I understand.
But at the same time, obviously things still need to be regulated. There still needs to be some type of a law when it goes with things like that.
Studies. So that's the biggest problem. I think science is great and all, but at the end of the day, when you push the idea that this is going to be safe for everybody, that I just feel that it's up for interpretation. We have a long way to go before we find out what these side effects are going to be long term of having COVID, of getting COVID.
But see, that's another thing
even healing from COVID. What long-term effects are going to happen to
That's another thing too, though.
That and I think what long-term effects are going to happen as side effects of this vaccine.
The thing is that we, as a couple and a household here, have now decided as a family that we really would rather not have people at our house unless they can prove they're negative for COVID.
Yeah. And
because the anxiety that comes with knowing you were potentially, possibly
that you were exposed. Yeah, and knowing that you could have been
the
exposed.
Anxiety that comes, I don't wish that type of anxiety on anybody.
No.
And you could be the strongest person, but the way it's been hyped up and the way it is actually being deadly to people, and if you're high risk, okay, it's very scary. So dealing with this anxiety of COVID and stuff, whether we have it and it's mild or whether we don't have it, we now, as a family, have decided we don't want people at our house unless they test negative. And I respect people that want that at their own homes. Yeah. And that may sound crazy. That may sound like a clown, a snowflake. Is that what the Trump people call liberals or Democrats? Whatever it sounds like to you, I don't really care.
Why are you going to make it political?
Well, I because it's been made a political thing from the beginning.
Right. Well, I'm not into
it's
that
not.
whole political
It's really not.
thing.
So
it's annoying.
But that was not what we wanted to talk about at all.
No,
nothing
but
to do with
we were,
COVID.
okay, so there is the anxiety that comes with, thinking that you're exposed and all that. But what we want to talk about today is anxiety and, mental issues because of something we're very, very, I guess we have quite an extensive background in, and that is being bigger, being heavy, being overweight or obese, morbidly obese,
fat,
yes.
Whatever you want to call it.
And it's crazy because the percentage of people that are obese is like astonishing, really, when you look at it. But that just means that that's becoming the new normal. And while some people don't drink the Kool-Aid that's the new normal, a lot of the population tend to disagree because a lot of the population is overweight in some way, shape, or form.
That's not what I'm talking about
but
at all.
When we go back and we think about like how our behavior, in being overweight, how that all started, and when you think about it, like going back, some of my most traumatic thoughts or memories, are of people telling me, things like, oh, you need to lose weight, and this is how you're going to do it, and this is how, and people telling you, like, trying to tell you what's good for you, but it really has the opposite effect. And when I was a kid, like, I can remember my mom, like, putting a lock on the fridge, and, like, me being a little fat kid, like, oh, well, when I get home from school, like, there's a snack, but, like, I want more than that, so, like, I figured out I would just take the door off the fridge. I'm smart enough to do that. I'm handy enough to do that. So that's what I did.
You're literally describing the stereotypical idea of what people put in place with fat people.
Right, but that's the problem.
Like, you're describing it perfectly.
That is the problem, though. That is the problem.
But that's why.
Because it doesn't help us. It doesn't help us to do better. It just makes us want to ignore any advice we're given. Because it's easy for somebody who's like my size to say something to Allie about what we could do to make our diet better or whatever, or a way to exercise, something we've tried or something like that. It's a lot easier for a bigger person to talk to a bigger person. But when it's an adult and you're younger and you're heavy, and then they're just telling you over and over again that, like, you're not going to amount to anything because you aren't, what are the words I'm looking for? You're not a productive member of society.
Okay, well, that's very that like my dad. That was my dad.
Well, that's that negative influence.
The thing that I talk about, what I want to talk about for a second, if you don't mind, is that the problem is that obviously we know that being morbidly obese brings a lot of health risks.
Right.
That is known to the person that's morbidly obese.
Right.
They're aware, but they don't need to be told it every single time because guess what? You don't know their health.
Right.
You're just going off of the fact that they're obese.
Right.
And I can't even tell you how many doctors I've gone to that were like, oh, you have a normal blood pressure? You don't have diabetes?
Right.
You don't have... I mean, are you kidding? Are you like a person that is like I don't even know.
I don't know.
Are you just a different person?
I went to the emergency room after I had my gastric sleeve surgery. I lost like 200 pounds. I put back on like 60 of it. And like I've been really like, okay for the most part. But I do have other health issues that were ignored because they tried to tell me that I was having these issues because I was overweight. And I was like, okay, I dropped 200 pounds and now it's worse. Tell me how my weight is affecting this problem. And then, like, I would go to these bullshit clinics because that's what New Jersey healthcare is. It's bullshit clinics.
It's very triggering, and I don't ever like talking about the fact that I had weight loss surgery because
people are judgy.
Everyone is judgy because if I say to you, well, I had weight loss surgery, you're expecting to see
a
skinny person.
Right.
And that is just not reality. And my experience with weight loss surgery was not glorified. It was not beautiful. It wasn't this magic thing that happened. It was extremely difficult. I was extremely sick. And so I chose not to talk about that weight loss journey anymore because I was just going to get judged no matter what. You didn't eat better, Allie. You didn't work out enough. You didn't do enough. And you know what? To those people, I kind of just want to say, well, fuck you. You don't know what I went through the first year of surgery. I chose to share the happy parts, the good parts, the losing the weight, because that's what I thought.
They show all the good parts.
You didn't see me eating 300 calories a day barely, only consuming liquids because I couldn't tolerate solid food.
Right.
And the amounts of times I went to the hospital thinking I was dying because my body was bleeding and hemorrhaging blood all over the place. So, like, no, you don't know my story. You're just saying, oh, you're fat. Well, guess what, rocket scientist? I get it. I know what I am.
And I mean, when I had my sleeve surgery, shortly after that and losing the weight and everything, I lost my hypertension. I lost my diabetes. I didn't have to take cholesterol meds anymore because my cholesterol was on target. Like, everything went back to normal. The only thing that didn't go back to normal was my blood pressure. Not my blood. Was it my blood? No, my blood pressure was a little low.
You have low blood pressure.
I have low blood pressure now, and my heart rate is extremely low because from when I was fatter, having to move around a 530-pound body, I was like, my heart was going crazy. Now I have what they call an athletic heart, which is fucking hilarious. And my heart rate is like in the 40s and 50s on a normal resting heart rate, which is like, I went to the emergency room, what was it, like 2 summers ago, because I had cellulitis because I got a cut in my leg. And like, I got an infection, and so I went to the hospital, and it was like no big deal. Like, they just give you antibiotics and you're on your way. But if you don't get antibiotics, it can be really bad.
It can spread.
It can spread. And, like, sunlight increases it, so you can't go outside. And it was, like, the middle of summer, and we were supposed to go somewhere.
We need to re-educate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing, because the thing is, there is such a, even when you go to doctors, when you're a fat person and you go to a doctor.
When I went to the emergency room, she's like, what do you eat? And I'm like, I don't know, like chicken and shit. Like,
because she was shocked that he had normal numbers in range of a normal person.
And that my diabetes, how'd you get rid of your diabetes? I had weight loss surgery. It happens. Do your research. Find out. But when people have weight loss surgery, they lose their diabetes. It's amazing. It is the craziest thing. I just think
the thing that is crazy is that you're bigger people, and maybe this isn't everybody, but in my experience, the only thing I've had doctors every time just talk about my weight. Mm-hmm. They could be missing so many other health issues that I could potentially have because they're just focused on my weight. They're just like, well, you're overweight, you're morbidly obese, severely. That's the reason. That's it. Bye. Yeah. See you later. Have a great day.
Exactly.
It took me to fight my one doctor to get blood work done to show her that I had freaking mono because she was chalking me up to being tired as lazy. And I was like, no, bitch, I'm not being lazy. I can't control this extensive exhaustion.
And at that time, weren't you working like 60-hour weeks and shit?
It's crazy.
Like, lazy my ass.
Like, and then she's like, oh, and then she did my blood work, and then she was like, oh, yeah, okay, well, you have mono. So there's no cure, but just rest. Like, there's one doctor experience I've ever had that did not make me feel like crap, and it was actually at a clinic, and she tested me for my thyroid. She tested me because I was concerned about my legs, because they got swollen because I'm short.
Right.
She tested me for blood clots. She made sure that I had normal cholesterol, diabetes, like normal sugar levels, and not in a nasty way. She was very much listening to what I was saying as a patient.
Yeah.
And that's a big problem.
That's rare.
That's only,
to find a good doctor.
It's really rare. It really is rare.
Who doesn't just chalk everything up to your weight.
And
they did that to me at OHI. I was going to OHI. Let me tell you something. OHI is the biggest fucking racket there is. Ocean Health Initiatives, worst doctor's office ever. You have to, not only do you like barely get seen, barely for like 5 seconds. It's like, it literally is a clinic where they try to do it the most efficient and quick way possible.
Yes.
But they overlook everything in the process and just say, you're fat. That's it. You're fat. Lose weight, lose weight, lose weight.
Wait.
And it's like, that's not helping me.
Wait, this is a good one. I don't think I ever told you this. This is going to get a little bit weird, but I went to a gynecologist appointment at OHI with my mom because I had just had weight loss surgery. Yes, I had weight loss surgery and I was way less than I was now. And I was having a lot of issues, and they went and they said to me when I got in the room, my mom and I were there, and they go, oh my God, like I can't even, if you didn't have something going on right now, I can't even check you. You're too big to get checked. You're too big to get checked, is what I was told. So when I went to my current gynecologist and I told him that,
like your actual gynecologist, he
said, are you kidding? He's like, they told you that? I said, yes, they told me that I was too big to get an exam done.
Yeah.
And he said, I've delivered babies triple your size.
Yeah.
So they don't know what they're doing.
Right, exactly. And that's the sad truth of it, is they're not doctors. They're, what are they?
They're
nurses.
like nurse practitioners.
Nurse practitioners. Yeah, they're not even that. They're like some bullshit crackerjack doctor.
But
and
even like when I was
off.
a teenager, my family took me to go see about getting weight loss surgery. I was 14. They found a hospital that was willing to do surgery.
If you need a specialist, you have to do your own referral. You have to call everybody under the sun, fill out all this paperwork, and then give it back to them and hope that they actually put it through because they're so busy.
It's given a lot of like I think about all the stuff I've been through as in my like childhood about like you can't eat that and oh my God, don't eat that and you're out of control with your eating, and that I know it's coming out of a place of love and I get that, but it's not.
It's detrimental.
Helping.
No, it doesn't. It
worsens
does the opposite.
Your mental health.
Yeah.
Your self-esteem goes out the window.
Right.
And then it draws you closer to food because guess what, honey? Food don't call you ugly. Food don't call you fat.
And I'm sorry, but when you're overweight, there's an underlying mental condition most of the time.
Because you're constantly judged.
you're not even just that.
It is that.
Usually, yeah, but you will tend to use food for a crutch. That's the behavior that you learn when you're young, is that you use food as a crutch to get past whatever mental issues you have. And for me, I mean, we've talked about my mental issues. We've talked about your mental issues, and unfortunately, when you're young, you don't want to talk about these things. It's so hard for you to even think about them.
Because you're terrified to talk about them because you don't have somebody to go to.
At some point, you have to deal with these issues. And otherwise, as an adult, you end up like in the position now where I am, where I'm constantly agitated, constantly aggravated, constantly socially, just social anxiety. I can't even be around two people
that
I don't spend time with. It makes me so anxious.
That's not your weight.
That's my mental issue.
Yeah, that has
But that mental issue,
do.
what I'm saying is that food is a crutch because you have some kind of mental issue. You have some kind of emotional trauma or mental trauma or, whatever that you are trying to work through, and you use food as a crutch to get through that situation.
Right.
And so that's how you end up obese in the first place. And then you learn that as an adult and you have to work through those problems.
Not always, because there are some people that don't. There are people that end up obese for other reasons than food.
Right. Well, sometimes
there's
it's a health
issue.
Yes.
PCOS. There's a bunch of reasons why people have weight issues.
Right. But mainly, the main one is a trauma that happened to you in your life, or something that's bothering you that you don't know how to explain.
Emotional coping mechanism.
Exactly. That's
you
exactly
use food
it.
as a coping mechanism.
Yes.
And the thing is being in a situation where you've had multiple traumas happen to you, it's very easy to go back to that level of comfort, and it's not good, and it's not something that I would even say it's not something that I'm proud of. Like I'm not regretful that I had weight loss surgery. I just don't want to ever share the story anymore or talk about weight loss, because where I am today, 4 years later, there's a lot I'm going through, and it's not just with food. There's a lot of stuff that I've been dealing with and have to deal with in a different way than going to food.
Although,
it doesn't happen overnight. You didn't get this way overnight.
No.
So.
And when you have weight loss surgery, it's not a fix-all, end-all situation.
It's just a tool.
It's just a tool to teach you to change your habits.
I know.
And even with the changed habits now, it still doesn't matter.
No,
We've
your
gotten to a point
your
where
mental health has to.
Well, not your mental health.
Your thought process has to change.
No. Aside from all that, it is fucking torture. Okay? The food you love, like I said before in one of my vlogs when I was doing my weight loss vlogs, it's like a bad breakup because you used food as a coping mechanism. Food was your friend. Food was your ally. You didn't hear shit from food. It never told you that you were too fat. It never tried to explain to you how to lose weight. It never did any of those things to you, and that's what you were comfortable with. That was your comfort, was to go to food. And unfortunately, we all of us associate food with memories. Holidays, birthdays, things like that, gatherings. There's always food involved. And so that is where you have your associations. You know what I mean?
I understand what you're saying, but you have to understand that the way you choose to see food,
and even now,
you need to change your relationship with food. But not just that, you're never gonna. You can say you're on a diet till your life is whatever, and you're gonna fail because you're putting a restriction on yourself automatically.
Right.
And if you don't have a great relationship with food, you're going to want to go over that. And that's my own personal experience, and I know that for me.
But to any parents out there who have kids, excuse me. To any parents out there who have kids that are obese, be mindful of what you say to them, because when you try to help them, it doesn't always help. It ends up being detrimental and making that it's that defiance, I guess, that kids have.
If you're gonna tell someone no,
it's gonna make them feel like
make
shit.
them use it in a way that it mocks their appearance, makes them feel less than because they're bigger,
brings down their self-esteem.
You're gonna have very troubled child, and it's not gonna get better. And that's the truth. But it's been about an hour.
Yeah, it has.
We've done this. So.
Yeah, it's almost about that time.
Yeah.
So, guys, down below, let us know if you've ever had a crazy healthcare experience where they've overlooked things because of your weight, your height, whatever, any kind of something that would be discriminatory. Yeah, absolutely. Let us know down in the comments any stories you guys might have that you feel like sharing. Let us know, on the replay. But I think that's about it for today. I think that's where we're going to end it. Next week, we're going to do something really cool you guys are going to get to see. And that's all I'm going to say about that until next week. But I hope you guys enjoyed this short little episode and some of the things we talked about today.
It wasn't short.
Yeah, well, it's about an hour. So anyways, let us know what you think down in the comments below. Either way, good or bad, you know where the like button is. You know where the dislike button is. Go ahead and click on one of them and let us know what you think. And down below, leave us a comment on why you think this episode was good or bad, so we can take some constructive criticism and move it on to further episodes. Anyways, guys, thank you guys for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Thank you for joining us again for another bite of the shit sandwich, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Bye.
Bye, guys.